Hi everyone. I hope you are all very well and you had another productive day today. Um, so I'm ready again for another question and answer session with another topic as I promised. So I'm just going to wait for a couple of people to come on board and then we'll make a start. Today's topic is how much net cash flow should I be making realistically? You know, because we all know it's all number game, when we are taking these rent to rent deals, or whether we are saying no to a deal or saying yes to a deal, it's all because of the numbers, and this is how we should really be making our decisions as well. We should not really get emotionally attached to any deal. As long as the numbers are working, we should take them and we should run with them. This is how I deal with my rent to rent properties that I come across or deals that I take, and that's exactly what I teach my mentees as well in my group, because numbers are everything. If numbers aren't working, then it's time to move on. Check if there is a possibility for you to negotiate further with the landlord or with the letting agency or through a sourcer. But if numbers are not working, and if you find that the landlord is being inflexible, or it's hard for you to convince them to change rent, or negotiate on rent or other terms, then it's time for you to move on. So just today I thought I'm going to give everybody opportunity. If anybody has any questions regarding how much, realistically, how much they should be really looking to make from a deal. So I always say, whenever you are taking a deal, never ever guess your numbers. Use your deal analyzer. If you don't have a deal analyzer, then there are deal analyzers available. People sometimes sell them online. You can buy them, or if you are doing a course, then you can maybe you can be provided by the person whoever is running that course, or whichever course you are attending for rent to rent, because it's very, very important. If somebody comes on, hi Rishi, thank you for joining. So if anybody who is looking to get into this rent to rent strategy, the most important thing is get yourself a deal analyzer, because if you don't have a deal analyzer, you'll end up guessing numbers, guessing your numbers and guessing your figures. And that's not a good thing, because the more precise and the more accurate you are with your calculation, with your numbers, better it's going to be for you. Yes, Rishi, thanks for joining me today. So yeah, definitely. I mean, if somebody comes on board with me, in my mentoring, I've got my own, special deal analyzer that I give them, and that they can, I always encourage them to use it, because I've designed it accordingly. So, we don't miss out anything that really needs including when we are doing our numbers, and it's for them to keep. So make sure that you're using your deal analyzer. Also, make sure that you are, oh, thank you, Rishi. I'm doing a great job. I hope you are as well. Thank you. Hope you are keeping well. So yeah, another thing I would say, that make sure that you, that's again, it comes down to using your deal analyzer, that, make sure that you take in account every single expense, every single thing that you will be spending your money on. So make sure that you are including every single utility bill, or, everything that you need to spend your money on. So think about, all the bills, council tax, if you're going to have a cleaner, then their cost, and make sure that you don't just guess your numbers, because the more accurate you are with your calculations, the better it is. So always make sure that you either get that information from the landlord, or you should know where to get that information. That information sometimes can be taken from different websites as well. When you put address, you can always get those details. I know initially it's going to be an estimate, but at least that estimate will be better than your estimate, which you are just going to guess. So make sure that you get all the numbers. Also, another important thing that you need to make sure that you include is the condition of the property. Hi Ashley, thank you for joining. So yeah, when you are taking if you are viewing a property, make sure that you're checking that what type of condition that property is in, and based on the condition, then you really need to work out how much money you will need to spend in order to make it desirable, because as you all know that it's a competitive market. So for that reason, it's very, very important that you have right figures, you've done your calculations properly. Again, if there is a lot of work that need doing and you're not a handy person, if you're not very experienced, and if it's just your hi Ola, thank you for joining. Yeah, so if you are doing it for the first time, even if it means that you take someone with you, just make sure that you take someone with you, so they can give you they can tell you the cost of all the work that will be required in the property, and it will just help you to work out your numbers properly. It's very, very important. So I know the topic of the today's question and answer is that how much cash flow should I be looking to make from, or net profit I should be looking to make from a deal. But to get to that figure, it's very, very important that you get all the information as accurately as possible. Don't guess your numbers. So if there is a lot of work that is required in the property, just work out that what type of work you can carry out yourself, so you will be saving cost in that way. But if you're not a handy person, and if you've got no experience, and if you want to bring someone else on board, or if you've got a full-time job and the way your other commitments are, you can't really give enough time to the property, then maybe you will have to bring someone on board with you. So make sure that you get a right estimate from that person, so how much money you will be spending on that property in order to make it desirable. Also, when you are doing your numbers, make sure that you're including all the voids, and enough, you are putting enough money to one side towards void period, or any repair or management and that type of things as well. So just make sure that you're putting some money to one side for that as well, so you allocating that. And now we come down to the figure where we're talking about what is the net profit. What is the net profit I am looking to make. So when you are doing your numbers on the actual deal analyzer, then just make sure that you're not just looking at your monthly net cash flow. Sorry, my messenger is buzzing. You are also looking at the on the other side of that. The way I'm thinking is, I have got this deal analyzer, which not only tells me how much net profit I'm going to make, but it also tells me how soon I'm going to get my investment back out. And that is the reason why I always say, do your figures properly. So if you are doing your figures properly, and exactly how much money you will need to invest initially in that property, then once you put all the figures in that deal analyzer, then you will know exactly how much money you will be making every month, after you paid your rent, after you've paid all the expenses, and after you put some money to one side for voids and all the repair and management and all that type of stuff. So then that will give you a figure for your net cash flow. Plus also that deal analyzer should also tell you that based on how much money you have initially invested in that deal. For example, you may need to pay first month's rent, you may need to pay deposit as well if landlord is insisting that he wants to take a month's worth of deposit from you. And also you will need to pay if you are paying towards any light refurb work. So you need to add up all the figures, and then you need to see how soon you are going to get your investment back out. Because when I analyze a deal, I'm not just looking at how much money I'm making, I'm also checking how soon I'm going to get my money out. So when it comes to working out the figures, when I'm looking at net cash flow, the worst case scenario, I'm always looking to get at least £100 per month per room. So for example, if a property has 5 bedrooms, so that property needs to make me at least £500 net after paying all the expenses. So that is the figure that I look at. I mean, I don't know how on social media people say, oh, I've taken a deal and it's making me £1,400 net cash flow, or it's making me £1,000 cash flow. I really don't know where people are getting these figures from, because I've been in this business and I know how numbers work. And nobody's stupid, landlords aren't stupid either. It's their property and they are not going to go give you that property for nothing. So you need to be realistic, and that's what I teach my mentees as well. And if you've come on board with me, I would like you to have that understanding as well, that as long as you are making £100 net per month per room, that's a good figure. So 5 bedroom property should be making you net 500 plus. I mean, I know some people, when they're doing the figure, the way they do it is they make sure that their net profit is equivalent to one room's rent. So if there is a void in the property, then at least that is covered by the net profit that they are making. So they're still breaking even. But where I live, rooms are usually, £500, around £500. So, I mean, it works out for me fine. So I'm very happy with that, So, I mean, I would be, and especially if it's your first deal, you really need to be realistic about it as well, because don't forget that first deal is going to give you loads and loads of experience. So even if you're taking that first deal with little bit less profit, it doesn't really matter, because the lessons you will learn will be invaluable, because doesn't matter who's teaching you whatever you are going to learn from that property, nobody in the world can teach you. I even say that to my own mentees as well. So have that type of attitude. I'm not saying take a property where there is no profit in it. No, you can't do that, because this is where you really need right education. You really need right person to guide you. Or if it is possible, you can go ahead and you can negotiate, don't be shy and don't hold back, and just make sure that you negotiate the figures properly, or get someone on board with you who can double check it with you, get someone on board who can guide everything to you and make sure that you are picking right deal and you are picking right rent for your property as well. So it's very, very important. But also, I don't just look at that. I also check that this property is going to give me my money back out soon as well, and that is why it's very, very important that you not only get someone to give you right estimate of the money that you're going to spend on that property, but also once you made that budget, you really need to stick to it, because it's it can a deal. I mean, it looks profitable, but if you don't have a good control over your budget or the way you are spending your money, then that good deal can very easily turn into a bad deal. So you really need to make sure that you are sticking to your budget. And for that reason, once you have decided that this is what I'm going to spend, you really need to make sure that you stick to that. And that is the reason as well why you need to have someone on board who can give you some quotes as well for the work, if you don't know yourself how much it's going to cost you, if you've got no experience. I mean, I know first time it may cost you more, but it's worth it, because then, like I said, that property will teach you so much. When I took my very first deal, I mean, I just didn't want to take it because I had this image in my head that I want to pick a perfect property, nice looking property, because that's what you see on social media, you know. But I went to see that property about 3 times because nobody else wanted to take it. And at the end, I found that the landlord was, you know, he was more flexible. Letting agency was keen to, you know, give me chance, so I could have company let, or I could have that corporate let on that one, you know. So to get that opportunity, I just had to take that property. It was completely run down. It was very badly treated by the previous tenants. In fact, it was given to a company prior to me as well, and they ran it so badly that they trashed the place, you know. But I took it on board because I knew that I had to make a start from somewhere, you know. And I mean, in that property, in that deal, I got my money out within, I would say, it took me about 10 and a half months, you know. But I did loads and loads of work myself as well. I got someone involved because that was my very first deal. So I needed to get right estimation, because as you can imagine, I was very nervous. I didn't have anybody on board with me, you know, to help me or to guide me. Okay, I had done these courses, but I did not really have anybody to give me that right advice, right guidance. So I thought I had to make a start. And that was the most expensive deal for me. But still, I just stuck to my budget, and I really, now I praise myself for it, because I'm so glad that I did that, because I could have just gone over the top with that property, you know. But many things I just borrowed from my own house, because I just didn't want to overspend, because I had already gone slightly over my budget, because initially, because of my naivety again, you know, I didn't think it would cost me as much money, you know, which it did, because I had to hire someone to put things right. And then I ended up, you know, some of the decorations or artwork or whatever, you know, those type of things, you know, soft furnishings, I had some extra stuff in my own home. So I just took that with me, and I used those items just to keep the cost low, because I was very much aware that if I keep going over the, you know, if I just keep crossing that line, and if I just keep spending, it'll be me who will suffer, you know, or it'll be my business that will suffer, you know. It'll take me forever to recover my money. Plus, I was already very nervous, you know. I thought I've taken a big gamble, you know. So for that reason, I do know how important it is, you know, for you as well to get someone on board if it is your very first deal. Also, you know, I mean, if you have any questions, do ask me, because I mean, there might be other questions relating to that, you know, that you might want to know, or you might want to know about, or ask me. Then I can answer those questions, because if it can help you, that'd be brilliant. I mean, the cost of, you know, you setting up your properties will go down, you know, from first property onwards as you move forward, because you will have things, and you will then, by the time you have got, you know, your second deal, your third deal, you have then developed good relationship with people, you know, like handy people, or you know, tradesmen, or people like heating engineers and all those type of electricians, and you know where to pick the bargains from. And in fact, I mean, there's something I just wanted to tell everybody. I turned into a little hoarder as well, you know, because I knew for my next deal I need these things, you know. I became very much aware of it. So as soon as I found a bargain, you know, somewhere, I would buy it, because I knew that I will need that for my next property. I knew exactly what I need, you know. So another thing is, you know, if you can, then you you actually know, once you have done one property, then you know exactly what type of things you will need. And some of the items you will buy for your first property, you may be able to use the same things, for your next property, and moving on to next. I mean, it just gets easier and easier, and your cost of setting up your property will go down every time, so you will be saving more and more money. So for that reason, always be mindful. Although I say you need to make certain amount at least to cover you at least for your void period, but also be mindful that it is your first deal. It is going to cost you a little bit more. It might be that you are going to get that first deal through a sourcer, or agency might charge their fee. Some agencies, I know, they do charge source people like us as well, because when I take my deals, I have to pay a fee, because that is the arrangement I have. But if you don't have that extra expense, then that's different, but if they are helping you to find really, really great deals, then you don't mind paying. Because in any business, when you are setting up any business, you do have to kind of invest some money. So go with that mental attitude that you will have to spend some money. You will have to because they are bringing some opportunities to you. So make sure that you are ready with all that. And like I said, the cost of setting up your properties will go down. Some of the things you will be able to use in your next properties. I mean, another thing that I would suggest here is, when you are setting up and when you're first starting your rent-to-rent business, stick to one style. Have that in your mind, how you want to set your properties, and stick to same style, and it will help you. Because if you try and create new style every time, that means you will end up buying new things. You want to be different every time, and it's not really practical, because you are running a business. It's a different thing when you are decorating your own house and you are sick of the deco and you want to do things differently every time. You want to do nice things every time in your for your rooms, or any part of your house. It's a different thing, but it's a business, so you really need to think about the money. You need to that's why also it's very, very important that you stick that you stick to your style, stick to your budget. Hi Callie, let me read your question. You said, do your sourcer find properties which are already licensed, or do you have to apply for this? It could be either way, Callie. I mean, some of my mentees, they have had deals where properties already got HMO, and some of the deals we are finding where property has got the potential to get HMO license. So as long as there is the potential, and as long as we are seeing that numbers are working, this is where I work alongside my mentees. So we look at everything, we look at the whole picture. Again, that's a brilliant question that you're asking, because this is another thing, when you are working out your cost, and if the property hasn't got an HMO license, and if you need to convert that property into HMO, you need to really know the exact cost of all that, because this will have an impact of when you are looking at the figures, this will tell you exactly how soon you're going to get your money out. Actually, one of my mentee at the moment, we are discussing a deal. We are in the middle of doing a deal, and this is exactly what we are doing. And I always say, get someone involved, and that's exactly what we are doing at the moment. We are looking at all the figures, and based on all the figures, now we have put an offer in, so yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, okay, a sourcer approached me, but it does have a license. Wasn't sure if it is worth but it does have a license. Wasn't sure if it is worth the application process. Right. I don't follow your question. So, Callie, if that property already has an HMO license, why do you need to go through the application process? Do you mean that the property doesn't have a license, or do you mean that property has a license? Because if it has a license, then obviously you don't need to go through the application process. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, so the property doesn't have a license. Yeah, so what you really need to do, you need to weigh everything. You really need to look at the deal, as a overall, I mean, as overall, see in long term, are you going to get benefit from it? Is it going to be beneficial enough to you? So you need to look at so many things. It's not just about looking at that. Okay, that property doesn't have an HMO license, but then you need to look at the rent. You need to look at other aspect of it as well, that okay, because this property doesn't have a license at the moment, so to justify that, does this landlord is this landlord going to give me a low rent, or is going to agree on a lower rent? So you need to really look at everything, and this is exactly where you need someone. I mean, if you've got someone who is hand holding you and helping you, that would be fantastic. So yeah, it can definitely work, but what you really need is you need to look at the whole deal. You need to work out the cost of, if it is a great location, then maybe you need to just look at the overall cost of everything, but make sure that you do not guess the numbers. It's very, very important when you are converting a property from a non-HMO to HMO. You need to check the area. You need to make sure that you are doing a full due diligence on that property. I'm not saying there is no potential. Definitely it can have potential, but make sure that you do thorough due diligence on it, so you know exactly how much money you need to spend, because you will be changing the doors, you will be putting new locks, you will be applying for application, you will be getting certain changes done as well. So it's like, it could be that the kitchen isn't big enough. It's like one of the property that we are taking, kitchen, the floor space is not big enough. So what we have to do, we have to swap the kitchen with the living room. So we have to open up the kitchen, not swap the kitchen. Actually, there were two options. We could either make the living room, turn that into kitchen, or what we are doing, we are opening up the kitchen so it opens into the living room. So there are so many things. And then how much is the cost of doing all that? Does property have enough bathrooms, enough toilets, to comply with that HMO license? So for that reason, you really need to study really deep, look into it. Make sure that you work out the cost of every single thing. You need to know what are the rules and regulations in your area or wherever that property is, and to comply with the rules and regulation of the local authority, how much it's going to cost you. Yeah, so once you look at all the costs and everything, then you need to put everything, all the figures in the deal analyzer to make sure that you are going to get your money in time. You don't really want to be doing work for landlord and then not making any money. You need to make sure that it's profitable and it's fair to you as well. Obviously that deal is hopefully is going to make money to you as well, but make sure that you do your numbers very, very carefully. It's really, really important. Yeah. Hi Bobby, thank you for watching and thank you for joining me today. Yeah, Kelly, that's a great question, but I think you need to look deeper into it, and if you have someone who's watching over you, if you joined a course or something, make sure that you get full guidance on it. Make sure that you do your numbers. This is where you need to make sure that whatever work you are doing, the profit is going to justify all that work, all the legwork, all the hard work you're going to put into it. Make sure that you're taking that deal for long enough as well, in order for you to benefit from that property. So there are so many factors. I mean, I'm hoping that you have got a deal analyzer. If you don't have it, you can buy them from from different online portals. I'm sure they sell them as well. So make sure that you do your numbers. But yeah, check and see if it is a good profitable deal. Then definitely 100%, go for it. But make sure that you cover yourself properly as well. Okay. Any other question? Guys, you can private message me. It's coming to 7:30. I'm very, very close to it. Yeah. So any other question, you can private message me. I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, when you're doing your figures, always make sure that you're using your deal analyzer properly, and you're looking how soon you're going to get your money back out. And like I said, check the figures that you're not going to make any loss. The moment if there is going to be a void, it should not be making you any loss. If anything, you should at least be breaking even, so just make sure you do all that. Yeah. Okay, so tomorrow we'll talk about another topic. Something I'll think along the line, this rent to rent business model. If you have any particular topic that you would like me to talk about, then yeah, feel free to private message me. We can do a live question and answer session on that topic. But yeah, otherwise I think I'm going to say now goodbye to everybody, and thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Can you do a session on taking on tenanted HMOs? Yeah, that's an interesting one. You got to be very, very careful, about that one. Yeah, we can do that. No problem. That is no problem. Yeah. That's why it can be a problem when you're taking your HMO and it already has tenants in. It can be problematic. You really need to be mindful of that, because because those tenants are causing trouble, that's why this landlord wants to pass it on to you? What is the reason? So you really need to look deeper into it. So yeah, we can definitely do a session on that. That's no problem. Take care then. Bye bye.